This is a true story of how I started a bunny business as a little kid and within a very short time it inspired my dream to acquire a private island where I could raise rescued and endangered breeds of rabbits and train them as comfort animals for people in need of hugs, hope, and happiness. There were lots of things that needed to happen before I could log on to Google Earth and began searching for a place I would call Peacebunny Island. Along the way, I became the guardian for a bunch of rabbits, some of which became valued friends and mentors, conducted hundreds of classes, fostered rabbits to families wanting their own bunny experience, and shared rabbits with people who are dealing with loneliness, trauma, and grief. With the bunny snuggling up close, everything in the world can stop for a few moments and just be about love. For me, rabbits have been a way to learn about people and how we can relate to each other, and how we can do it better. Countless times I've seen the way these free creatures have helped people become more human. They've changed people's lives, and they have changed mine. Peacebunny Island is my special place to get away from everything, sharing extended time with family, friends, and my rabbits. It's a place where we can ask God to calm our hearts while we wait for answers to life's biggest questions. Everyone has their own Peacebunny Island. It may only live in your head and in your heart, and that's okay. I hope this book inspires you to journey there just as I did. Caleb Smith, March 2021.
Welcome to the Jeremiah Show. Today we have a really special guest that is so inspiring, and these are just the types of stories I love doing. We all need a little inspiration some days, or most days, in fact, and Caleb Smith, our special guest today, definitely brings a unique and inspiring story. So enjoy this episode. I'm really looking forward to it. When today's special guest was just 8 years old, he set out to find a forever pet rabbit. And his heart broke over the number of unwanted bunnies he found online, including a very rare American blue rabbit whose breed was on the verge of extinction. That's when Caleb Smith crafted a business plan. He had an idea. He was going to figure out a way to prevent pet abandonment, save the rare breeds, and also find a home for as many rescue rabbits as possible. As he began rescuing more and more bunnies, a strange thing happened. The bunnies began rescuing the people that Caleb encountered along the way. Caleb, along with youth volunteers, began traveling to nursing homes, hospitals, and rehab centers, providing comfort to people struggling with loneliness, with stress, trauma, and with grief. He created an ongoing funding stream to care for the rabbits through shared times of joy and celebration and community events. After moving operations to a farm, he created a service learning organization that mobilized youth with one mission: to share hugs, hope, and happiness. His Amazon best-selling memoir titled Peacebunny Island tells of his journey, which led him to creating a business around what he had learned from the bunnies and the happiness that they actually gave others. Caleb then purchased a houseboat. He and his friends piloted the houseboat to a 22-acre Mississippi River island where he camped out with his bunnies and his buddies during the summer, training them to become comfort rabbits. Caleb is now entering 11th grade in high school. He's an Eagle Scout, and he serves as CEO of Peacebunny Islands Inc., that owns several river islands and cares for a lot of rabbits, as you can imagine. I wanted to mention here that we will be promoting this book throughout at the commercial breaks, and I'll tell you how to get it. But Peacebunny Island. But 100% of the book royalties this year in 2021 are committed to supporting Caleb's vision. I'm going to quote from his book here, first chapter. So the first thing you're going to want to know is what a kid from Minneapolis was doing on stage in a Philadelphia bar when he was still 2 years shy of becoming a teenager. Your next question will likely be, where were his parents? And if you're interested in every little detail, you'll want to know what song he sang. He was belting out the chorus of Don't Stop Believin' by the band Journey, which he learned at his hometown ice arena in Minneapolis. where he grew up watching hockey games and singing all the songs they played to rev up the crowd. And so begins the first chapter of Caleb Smith's Peacebunny Island. He was in fifth grade, and if you're worried, his mom was there and so was his uncle, so it's okay. uh, and he was in fifth grade at a Forbes magazine sponsored conference for entrepreneurs under 30 years old. All right, Caleb, welcome to the show. So good to have you here. Your book was so inspiring. What you're doing is so inspiring, and I can't wait to hear all about it here. Share it with our listeners. So a first question I have is, what were you doing as a nominee for Forbes magazine sponsored conference for entrepreneurs under 30 years old? You were in fifth grade. So how old were you?
Um, ooh, I was 10, I believe,
10.
10, 11, something like that. And we ended up reaching out to the Forbes conference since they have a lot of just visitor people that would end up coming to these different events, and asked if I could participate and go to some of their breakout sessions and learn just how like the business world works, because I was just getting into it. This was like my third year of coming up with the idea at 8 years old, and was looking for just a way to go to Philadelphia where it was that year. And I remember I was at one of the local Rotary clubs sharing about this amazing adventure that I could be going on in the fall, and met one of who was a friend at guest at that point. Now he's a mentor, but met him after the meeting and came up to me and said, "This is I'll have basically, can I pay your way to go to this Forbes conference?" And wanted to invest in the younger generation as we're learning. And that really sparked uh, the Forbes conference really changed the trajectory of my business, just because I looked at things a whole new way, and got really learned a lot about the Angora rabbits, which are the big fluffy ones that grow an inch of hair every month.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot about them at the conference. I actually brought an Angora with me. His name was whatchamacallit, and he's just a big poof ball with fluff and big pointy ears at the top. But sharing the rabbits with people, both in the conference and going to the breakout sessions and learning from others, and meeting people along the way, even on the streets.
Well, you had a portfolio that at this time already, though, right? So what did that include? And how did you, I mean, like at 8 years old and 10 years old, those years for a kid, I mean, you're still a kid and you're playing and you're doing everything else kids do at that age, but you're having ideas, you're an entrepreneur, you're already thinking that way. Tell me about some of the things that were included in your portfolio and why.
Yeah, so it was having this idea for creating a bunny business, and it all came with an idea that I pitched to my parents at 8 years old after finding 362 rabbits on Craigslist right after Easter here in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and wanting to prevent the pet abandonment cycle, and seeing that a lot of the people had unfair expectations. So focus on the prevention side, and hopefully preventing more rabbits to become on Craigslist, and just sharing them with people. And what we learned is that people found out that they were allergic to them, or that they chew cords, or they find out that rabbits poop. So then it's a lot of just education things. So starting a program that we can educate people about the different breeds of rabbits and the biodiversity between all the different breeds of rabbits. There are 50 registered breeds in the United States right now, and they vary widely in the short-haired, long-haired, in size, colors, and just educating people. And then bunny facts, and it's like in the start of the book, it talks about how I educated people about the reproduction of rabbits, and how people say, well, rabbits reproduce like rabbits, and they do very quickly because their gestation is only a month.
Well, let me go back to how many rabbits did you say were on Craigslist? 360?
362.
62. Don't forget those two. Don't forget any of them. So what happened when you went to your mom and your dad and you said, I want to rescue 362 rabbits?
Yeah, so I put on my church suit and walked down the hallway like I was on Shark Tank. And I pitched to the two sharks who were my parents, and
For
um,
the
said that, well, parents will pay for STEM education and we can make it sustainable by continuing to do programs. And I knew that we couldn't save all 362 of them because we live in the cities.
the
And so we only got four because that's as many as the city that I live in allows us to have over the age of 6 months. And I really started with the original four that were a breed called the American. Paxton Peacebunny was the first of the four, and he was a blue, steel blue gray color. And then I had three others, Star, Cream Puff, and Casper, and they were red-eyed white albinos. So those four really started the business on the rabbit side, and knowing, like I said, focusing on that prevention side, and then we added some rescues into our program, and wanted to just share them with people. And we started doing birthday parties, and that was our income stream that paid for more bunny food. And then we did corporate events that paid for more bunny food, and a lot of it was just bootstrapping the money to expand the rabbit tree, and then get like a website and different things that are just business expenses, a phone line, just it goes on and on. And as we
How much money did you have to raise in the beginning? Did you have a budget? Did you have, I mean, when you talk about dressing up in your suit and walking down the hallway, I mean, I'm imagining the Shark Tank theme song, and then your parents are on the couch giving you the eye, you know, not, and you pitched this. Did you have a business plan? Did you have a speech prepared? How did that? I mean, how much money did you have to raise? What were you looking for?
the first for the Shark Tank pitch itself, it was just pitching the idea. And my parents said that if you find a way, we'll support you. So our running joke is, be careful what you promise your kids, or you'll be on the greatest adventure ever. And my dad majored in business, so he's more of the, how do you make it sustainable. So my mom was more on the side of, how is it good for the people, is it good for the rabbits, what is the outcome goal you're achieving. And my dad was more asking the questions on, how do you make it sustainable, how do you get revenue, how do you continue doing this program. And really in that first day, there wasn't a lot talking about financially, but as that week grew and keep coming back to that Shark Tank of, so like we'd randomly bring up, uh, so like later in the book it talks about my idea for the island, and how when I came up with the idea, I kind of just said it out loud, and then I kept coming back to, how do I make this work. And the idea of pitching to my parents for the business, I pitched it, and then I kept coming back to, well, how do I make it sustainable. And after a while, just started with the four rabbits, and knew that even if I didn't do any programs, they're still my four pet rabbits. So then there wasn't really any budget at the beginning. It was just more, I'm sharing them with people. And then as rabbit food and new cages and new pens, and as we would grow, then that's more when that came into play.
Yeah, I don't know. Forgive me, and maybe you could explain it to all of us. What is STEM-based learning? The STEM-based learning program for the school.
So we started as a program called STEM Bunnies, and STEM science stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. So we wanted to focus on the education, and we didn't want to be a petting zoo. We wanted people to learn something when they interact with the rabbits. So
Hmm.
then we would, so a lot of our school groups that we do now are focused on the STEM programs. So there isn't, and then when we would do something other than schools, people would think that we're doing like stem cell research. So then we just changed the name to Peacebunny Island. And then the STEM Bunnies is just a program that we have that we would like go to a school group for.
Thank you for explaining, because that's what that was
Yeah.
thought as well, was that STEM-based research through rabbits, and I get it now. Okay, thank you. So, Caleb, when you were out on the road and when you were raising money and you were doing these birthday parties, you started to realize that these rabbits played a really important role. You started observing how people with autism, children with autism, critical health conditions, special needs, loneliness, the rabbits started to almost become little miracle workers. Can you explain when you first realized that and what you noticed?
Yeah, so after the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary with the school shooting there, people from northern Minnesota, friends of mine, were going to just bring comfort, and they had little kids about my age at that time, and they invited me to go to spend time with their kids since we were friends. And I got to see the comfort dogs in action there, and seeing how much of an impact that the comfort dogs had, and seeing um, that all animals that are used as therapy or emotional support animals really make a difference. I'm thinking that, well, I have rabbits. Could we have the rabbits that were already uh, taking them out, and they're already our pet bunnies, and we have a fostering program at this point, and seeing, could we take the rabbits and use them as comfort animals that are people that are dealing with loneliness, trauma, and grief where we are. And especially now, after since we're going through the world of COVID, it's really amplified the need for comfort, and there's a lot of loneliness right now.
Mm-hmm.
So like, we're focusing this year on going to a lot of the nursing homes here in the Twin Cities metro area, and we have 20 sites that we're going to once a month right now, and just sharing the rabbits with people. And our hope into the future is to become more of a therapy program. We've been doing like comfort rabbits and emotional support rabbits for a really long time, but moving more into the therapy realm. So things that have specific outcome goals.
Okay.
So
Like,
somebody having their arm moved to pet the rabbit, or their help feeding them, or guiding a conversation with them.
hmm, interesting. What have you noticed, and what have nurses and doctors and people at nursing caregivers told you? What kind of effect have the rabbits had on some of the people that you've introduced them to? What do you hear?
Yeah, rabbits bring joy to people, and seeing that when we go to these fun events like birthday parties, where you couldn't think that there could be any more joy in this occasion, and then the rabbits bring out even more. And then you go to these the Peacebunny unit, places where I'm dealing with something, and it freed them to laugh again and to smile again after something. And when we go to like a nursing home, just seeing them excited and going through old childhood memories, for those that have owned rabbits and those that have had pets. And what we learned is that, especially now, bringing the rabbits to like a nursing home affects um, the seniors, but it also affects the nursing home staff,
Yeah.
and impacting them. And it's like, when you go to a school group, we're bringing the rabbits to the students, but we're also bringing them to the teachers, and we're bringing them to those first responders. And those are the people that, especially right now, need a little bit of comfort.
Yeah. Wow, how special. How cool. So your first rabbit was the Angora rabbit, right? With the long, almost wool-like fur. What was it? It was a he, right? What was his name?
So we had a lot of the short-haired rabbits at that time,
Yeah.
and um, we had so there was a barn fire in northern Minnesota, and we got reached out, and um, somehow learned about this incident. And they had 28 bunnies that still needed a home, and we took in four of them, and sadly all four of them passed away shortly after, due to the fire. But one ended up giving birth right before, and that's whatchamacallit. And he's been my traveling bud for the longest time, and he's gone to Philadelphia with me, and his traveled. Whenever I travel somewhere, he's usually the bunny that will travel with me too.
He's used to travel. He's got his own visa and his own passport stamps.
I
What
don't think he's done any international travel.
special?
I think he's just stayed here.
What is how many miles does whatchamacallit have on him?
He's got a lot. We've
Or
done.
rabbit, you think, in the world?
I don't know if it beats that, but of the rabbits we've had in our rabbit tree, he's probably traveled to the most places.
No, why did you call him whatchamacallit?
So we had the Americans that we had in our program. Once we had litters, we started naming them alphabetically. So we had Aubrey, Belle, Chloe, Drake, Emma, Fido, Gigi, Heaven, Fluff, and we made it down the alphabet. And when we got the Angoras, we were on the letter W. So we whatchamacallit, when he was first born, looked just like any other short-haired rabbit. And then just one day, poof, the Angora popped in.
Hmm.
And we're like, what do we name this rabbit? And we're like, well, we don't, he doesn't like a William or a Walter. We're just like, how about whatchamacallit? And it basically stuck and just named. And then through that, um, a lot of the Angoras have more of the fun names to them. We have another English Angora. His name's Shazam, and we have a Wachamina, who is Wachi's wife, and things like that. And then we have
Whatchy.
um,
Oh, I love it.
yeah, and then with the Americans and the other endangered breeds, then we have we name them by theme. So we had the Sound of Music bunnies. So we had do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, and ti. So lots of fun naming rabbits.
Very creative. Can you remember and recognize each one?
You can with their personality. A lot of them look very similar. Some of them have very distinct coloring. So like Leonardo da Vinci is one of our lion head rabbits. So he has a big poofy mane in the front of his face, and he has a stripe going down his back with some spots on his back. So he's very easily recognizable. But a lot of them, they have their strong personalities. Casper is every day when we try to feed them, he bangs on his pen and he's like, "Give me food." And then we give him his food. He takes 2 bites, and then he takes a nap. So that's just his personality.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So each one of them, just like human beings, just like dogs, just like other animals, and they have personalities and they're
Yeah.
recognizable. Give me a couple more examples about that of their personalities.
And so we have Little John, who is a lop rabbit, and he is trained to do agility courses. And what you did a little bit of that too. And Paxton has always been the really calm rabbit. And since I named him Paxton Peacebunny, so he's the Peace Bunny. And we have another Angora. Her name is Rose, and she loves getting her picture taken. So whenever we take her to different places or like the fair, everybody loves taking her pictures. We have a rabbit named Feisty, and she doesn't go to any of our programs except for the state fair when she gets shown. So because she earned her name of Feisty, and she chose not to go to any of the events. So before we go to events, we let them choose if they want to go, and she tends to decline. But the state fair is the one event she goes to.
They decline. How can they just don't get in the cage, the travel cage, or what does that mean?
So we it sounds silly, but we sing a song to them, and they know as they grow up in our program that when it's time for like an event, when they are energetic and they'll like stand up in the front of their pen or be anxious, and then they know that they want to go. But sometimes they want to sit and chill in the back. Maybe they're taking a nap, or they just say, ah, I'm gonna chill in the corner, and then they know, then the humans know, okay, that rabbit doesn't want to go today. And that model was based off of as me as a kid, where I said, well, I don't want to go to an event and have my parents yank me by my legs and take me somewhere. So we don't want that to be similar to the rabbits as well, where we're basically pulling the rabbits out to go somewhere. So we always let them choose.
So you're really in tune with your rabbits, and you're aware of their personalities, you're aware of their moods, and
Right.
respectful of that.
Yes.
What a great, what an idea. And being respectful of human beings. There's a lot that we can all learn from that, I'm sure.
Right.
And from your book, Peacebunny Island. If you're watching us on Zoom, I know you're listening to us on radio, but check it out. Check out Caleb Smith on Zoom. This interview as well is up there, and we have his book is available everywhere. Peacebunny Island. Caleb Smith. It's on. It was a bestseller, or is a bestseller on Amazon, and it's a really fascinating story, as you can tell. It's called, again, Peacebunny Island: The Extraordinary Journey of a Boy and His Comfort Rabbits, and how they're teaching us about hope and kindness. So, Caleb, tell me a little bit about rabbits, because I love useless facts, or as I call them, fun facts. And I know that's part of your, when you take the rabbits out and into the public, um, that's part of teaching people about rabbits, is you tell them a couple of neat facts. And I thought that it was very interesting. I'd never heard this before, so I learned something new. But mammals with eyes on the sides of their heads are vegetarians, and mammals with eyes on the front hunt and eat meat. That's so interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah. So when we go to like school groups or places, we say eyes on the front they hunt, and eyes on the side they hide. So like horses and rabbits and sheep, they all have eyes on the side of their head, so they eat vegetables. And then dogs, cats, humans, if we choose to eat meat, can process meat and eat it. So it was just an interesting fact that we learned. And one thing that's cool with our program is that it's all inquiry based.
Hmm.
So questions that I had or some of my friends had, but that's where the business would go. So then like we're thinking, well, goats have eyes on the side, and so do rabbits, and we have friends that have horses. So then, is it true? So then we look it up, and we talk to professionals, and talk to lots of people, and just learn from them.
So is that always a true fact then? Does that hold with all mammals?
There's probably like an exception to it, kind of like the platypus has eggs, but they're a mammal. So there's probably something out there that is, but for the most part,
That's so interesting. Well, and then I guess there's exceptions with human beings where we've got the eyes on the front of our head, but we do eat, some of us just eat vegetables.
right.
So well, I thought this was interesting too. Why shouldn't you approach a rabbit from the front?
So rabbits, since they have eyes on the side of their head, see basically all the way around them except right in front of their face.
Wow.
So like when you greet a dog or a cat, they see your hand, they can sniff your hand, but a rabbit can't see here. And they also are colorblind. So your finger, they can see the wrinkles. So it basically looks like a carrot to them. So if you put your finger in front of their mouth, they're going to think like it's a carrot and might take a nibble. So you always greet a rabbit from the side, and that they can see you. And so when we go to like a school program, we say that you put your face, or you put your hand up against your face, and this is basically how a rabbit sees. And seeing, well, if you can't see anything here, then then the rabbit can't see it.
That's so interesting. What are there any other really cool facts like that are at the top of your head you want to share with us?
I think it's cool when we go to these different programs and we have all these facts that are driven for, like when you go to a birthday party, it's driven for the kids, but there's always one that is always for the adults, and that's the talking earlier about the reproduction of rabbits. And so the gestation period of a rabbit is 1 month, and the mama bunnies have two uterine horns that are completely independent of each other. So they can get pregnant on the left side or the right side, or both at the same time, or staggered. So rabbits can be pregnant while they're pregnant.
Wow.
And they can have, so like a mom could be pregnant and be halfway through the pregnancy and then get pregnant again. And because their gestation is only a month, then there isn't a time of the month that they get pregnant. It's just anytime they're with a boy. And but the trade-off for the mama bunnies is that they only feed 5 minutes a day. So their milk is so nutritious for the babies that they feed for 5 minutes, and that's enough food for 24 hours.
Wow.
So out in the wild, when we first started, we got a lot of calls saying that they find orphan baby bunnies. But what the mom's doing is that they're staying 2 to 3 houses down to keep the nest safe, because the predators can find the mom easy, or they can find the nest easier if the mom's with it. So the mom is usually houses down, keeping the baby safe by staying away, and then will come back to feed every day.
Okay, we could keep going. We could just do the whole show about fun facts. Thank you for those. Last one I'm going to ask you, because this is one of your the rabbit that you travel with. Whatchy, or whatchamacallit. This is crazy. They need haircuts 3 to 4 times a year because their wool grows about an inch a month. What do they do if you're not around to cut their hair? How do they? There are not rabbit barbers, are there?
So with the Angoras, if you don't groom them, then just their fur will actually mat. And then once it gets to a certain length, sometimes it might, the Angora fur is very loose, so it could end up like they could shed. Right now we have an Angora, her name's Ambrosia, and she's going to the state fair in a week, actually. And she has 7 inches of fur on her right now. And keeping the Angora fur, making sure that it doesn't mat, and making sure that it's still fluffy so that it can still grow. And then when we give them the haircuts, we cut it. We give them the gentle haircut down to an inch. Then we let it grow out to 4 inches. But because Ambrosia is going to the fair, we let it grow a little longer. You're talking about the fun facts. The longest Angora hair on a rabbit is 14 inches long. So our rabbit, even though it's massive, isn't anywhere close to it. But it takes a lot of grooming to get there.
So great. So great. We're talking with Caleb Smith. He's the CEO and the founder of Peacebunny Islands Incorporated. He's an author. He's an Eagle Scout. He's a Paul Harris Fellow. Check out his website. Very, very cool. Peacebunnyisland.com. You can find him on Facebook and Instagram at Peacebunny Island. We'll be right back after the short break. Very cool, Caleb. Okay, so we're going to come right back, and I've got to be quiet for 5 seconds so Richard knows where to cut this for the commercial.
Okay.
Richard is my sound engineer. He's not with us today. I don't have an imaginary friend named Richard behind me. Okay, so we're going to do 5 seconds, and then I'm going to actually read your ad. And then we'll do another, when I finish, we'll do another, 3 or 5 seconds, and then we'll come right back.
Perfect.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Discover the heartwarming, best-selling book, Peacebunny Island, a memoir by 17-year-old entrepreneur Caleb Smith, who purchased a 22-acre Mississippi island in Minnesota for training comfort rabbits. Motivated by Sandy Hook, he founded a youth-led company that shares happiness by bringing bunnies in wagons. Visit peacebunnyisland.com. And if you order the book right now, in 2021, you get the 100% of the royalties are committed to support Caleb's vision. You can find the book on Amazon, anywhere you buy books, and even from his website, peacebunnyisland.com. Let me ask you, Caleb, it says motivated by Sandy Hook, he founded a youth-led company that shares hope and happiness by bringing bunnies in wagons. That's what I got from you guys. Does that say enough?
Yeah, so the wagons, I can elaborate a little bit on that.
That was what
And
you wanted.
what?
A
Oh, yeah, that'll work.
pet off there.
Okay,
Okay, we can elaborate. But that's what you wanted. That's the copy that you wanted for the ad.
sure. Yeah,
Cool. Okay, then I'll leave it. All right, so let's do a couple seconds of silence, and then we'll come back.
cool.
Let me get my timer going. Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. We're talking with Caleb Smith. He is CEO and founder of Peacebunny Islands Inc. He's an author, an Eagle Scout, a Paul Harris Fellow, a very, very cool fellow. And he's got a website, peacebunnyisland.com. Follow him on Facebook and Instagram at Peacebunny Island. Welcome back, Caleb. Fascinating conversation. What did you do with the wagons and the bunnies? Tell me about that a little.
Yeah, so the wagons, we train the rabbits to sit in wagons and in tables. Like when we go to a senior center, we have the residents sit around in a circle, and we have the rabbit up on a wagon, and we pull it around to different stations. And most of the training is done out on the island that I purchased, and I came up with the idea for an island at 11 years old, and I was the Easter time, and I was tired of hauling all the pens around, and thought, well, if I have an island, the rabbits won't swim off, the land predators won't get on, and the eagles will stay away if there are humans always keeping an eye on the rabbits. So it's a perfect place where we could train them, and for basically their summer camp, and I could train them to go to all these different places. So then I looked into lots of different islands. We're in Minnesota, so we're the land of 10,000 lakes, and also many rivers. And just started looking and researching and going on Google Earth and just looking at where different islands are that are public and private, and just seeing where they are, and reached out to a lot of the island owners to see if we could rent or lease the island for the summer to see if the model works, and found one island that contacted back and allowed me to test the pilot out on there, and spend a summer having the rabbits get trained, and having the youth guardians take the rabbits back and forth via the houseboat, and doing the training. And then in the fall, the owner contacted and said, "This is crazy, but do you want to buy the island? And if you're interested, you have a month to raise the funds. If not, we have another party that's interested." So I am a 17-year-old with a mortgage, um, which is really crazy to even think about.
Island, right? Don't you have a couple?
Yep. So it started with Peacebunny Island, which is the biggest island. It's 22 acres. It's a very long island. It's 16 football fields long, and it's basically in the shape of an exclamation point upside down. So there's a little half-acre island that we call Bunny, and that's where we do most of the training. And then there's a little islet called Whiskers out on the side. And then after purchasing that island chain, one of the other island owners contacted and said, we're snowbirds, and we just got your letter. Do you want to buy ours too?" So those are two smaller islands about a mile and a half downriver that we call Hope and Happiness, and we're working on since we got them recently, figuring out the logistics out on that island.
I've always wanted to own an island. I think it's like every young boy's dream, right? To be like Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, live on a
Yeah.
river, the island, something like that. That was a big part of my growing up, was being on lakes and rivers, and I miss it. And nostalgic. So what is it? I mean, you don't have to tell me what you spent, but you can buy your own island, huh? Maybe in Minnesota.
Yeah, so a lot of the islands vary so much in price by the size of the island, and found one that was in our budget, and I'll have it paid off in the next 5 years, I believe now.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Better than 30 years.
Yep.
30-year mortgage. Can you give me a roundabout idea of what you, not what you spend, but what you could spend on an island?
So with everything from the boat to all the islands and everything needed for the whole island project was less than 100,000.
Well, I think I might have to buy an island then. Let me go back though a little bit. We jumped forward there, and I want to get there. I want to get back to Peacebunny Island. Um, that's the only place that sounds like I want to go right now. Actually, very very attractive to me. But let's get back to your childhood. You're an only child, um, and the reason I want to go back there is because childhood today, well, I mean, you're a child, but you're a young man, but you're still in the middle of this pandemic in formative years that should be spent socializing with friends, in school, looking forward to college, maybe looking forward to your future. Um, you obviously, you make your own, you realized at an early age, you create and you make your own future, and it is as good or as bad as you choose it to be. Very wise young man. But I'm very, one of the chapters in your book that I really loved was you describing your childhood, your parents, your upbringing. And could you, because we, I don't think that, and maybe I'm wrong, but it feels to me like a lot has changed in the world, from traditions to nostalgia to just that small town, maybe small uh, in the Midwest or the Pacific Northwest, or just this nice small town, almost a Mayberry existence where everybody knows each other and everything's neighborly, and you share and you care about each other, and you celebrate the holidays and the Thanksgivings and the Christmases, and it's almost like a movie in my mind, a fairy tale. Does that exist? Because when I read that your chapter, I had hope. I felt like you're living that, or you live that, and I want to share that with the listeners, because I think we all need to remember, or we come
As
get how we grow up. So please tell me about your child, your parents.
yes, the neighborhood I grew up in, all the neighborhood kids, we are a very tight knit group, and it wasn't like it was extended family where we'd meet for the Thanksgivings or the Christmases, because we'd all go back to our own houses. But it was a really good group of guys, and a lot of them have moved away now, but we're still in touch with a lot of them, and just spending time with them, a lot of outdoor time, figuring out how to make a game out of basically anything. And there was a very large age difference between all of us. I was more on the younger end of the neighborhood, and as families moved in and moved out, it was basically the rules and how things function always remained the same. And my everybody and everybody's house or their yard had a specific thing that's what it was known for. It's like my backyard was where we did sports. So we did kickball and wiffle ball and things like that, and that was my backyard. And we would do a lot of like video games, um, which now are like the retro consoles now, but um, just like the back when we had to plug the controllers in. But we did that over at the Bachman's house, and we did some like science experiments outside, and it was like the the group of people. It was especially during the summer. The summer was that 3 months was when we spent the most time together, and growing up with a wide variety of parents on the different streets. And we joke saying that it was probably one of the safest streets in our neighborhood because of like the four families we had. I think it was like six like nurses and medical staff members just in like four houses. And
Had a lot of boys running around playing with that needed band-aids, I'm sure.
Not as much as you would expect, but and then as we grew up, things changed, but we always went back to the same moments. Um, Across the street, the three troubles, as we called them, the youngest graduated this year, and they still called my mom Miss Ross, and we still call them the troubles, and we come back to the old memories, and then it just changes as we get older.
Yeah. So you had a good beginning. You had that child, that idyllic childhood and then here you are probably 16 to you're 17 and a half. Now you find yourself in this pandemic, but you have, it sounds like a big support system, great friendships, great parents. Um, I'm going to come back to that in a moment, the pandemic, and I want to talk to you about the bunnies and your thoughts on that. But tell me before we go there, your parents. Tell me a little bit about your parents. I had the pleasure of talking to your mom, and I tried to get her on here to tell me about that Shark Tank moment, to tell how what her side of the story was when you were a young entrepreneur pitching her like she was a judge on Shark or an investor on Shark Tank. But tell me about your parents.
Yeah, they they have, or for me, they're such amazing parents and helping me grow as a person. And like right now, they're this safety net, but they're allowing me um, to explore and have my own little niche, that's something that I'm passionate about. Um, my dad, when we first started, was not a pet person. He was not a rabbit person, and he's still not a pet person, but he is a rabbit person now. So throughout the book, it talks about the confirmation or the transformation of my dad enjoying the rabbits.
They
Uh,
they managed a junior hockey team. I think that's fascinating.
yeah, so they were entrepreneurs themselves, and I grew up on the road with that, and learned a lot about um, learning some life lessons from my older big brothers, I call them, and learning from that.
Why
And then
play hockey with parents that coached hockey or managed a hockey team?
so we say that, so my mom works in sports medicine and specializes in concussions. So we say that if you work at a particular restaurant, that's not the restaurant you eat at. So people that coach that sport don't let their kids do that sport.
Got it.
So I've always enjoyed it from the sidelines. I don't know how to skate, um, but anytime I'm in a gym class, I always love floor hockey just because that's just what I grew up with. Um, but
You
it's not.
tell
I learned early on that I didn't really want to be a hockey player, and figuring out things that I enjoyed and things I wanted to do.
Your mom sounds very smart. Your dad's smart. I see where you get it from. Do you want to mention your parents' name? Do you want to give them thank them officially here on the Jeremiah Show?
Thank you, parents.
What are your parents' names?
There's Stephanie and Ross.
7 year old, and you have a best friend that you mentioned in the book, so you got to give him a plug here.
Yeah, so throughout the story, it revolves around basically the second half of the book. A lot of my buddies I met through Scouts, and then Caden, who is part of our People's family. So we actually just got back from a week-long canoe trip just a few days ago. So it was Caden, Jacob, Noah, and myself, and then Nick's in college. But we did we did a little Zoom call halfway through, but just spending time with them and doing river stuff and boat stuff and finding our own thing, and then it kind of all revolves around the rabbits.
Your life is so interesting. You should write a book. Okay, we're talking. We're going to take a real quick break again. We're talking with Caleb Smith. He's a CEO the founder of Peacebunny Islands Inc. He's an author, an Eagle Scout, and a Paul Harris Fellow. Find out more on peacebunnyisland.com. Pick up your copy now. We're going to take a little commercial break. You got plenty of time. Head on over to Amazon. Pick up Peacebunny Island by Caleb Smith. The extraordinary journey of a boy and his comfort rabbits and how they're teaching us about hope and kindness. peacebunnyisland.com. At the age of 8, Caleb Smith began to rescue rabbits no longer wanted after Easter. This motivated him to create an educational nonprofit to help youth who, like the rabbits, fall through the gaps. Then, in the aftermath of the Sandy Hook school shooting, Caleb personally witnessed therapy animals in action. He envisioned youth mobilized to save rabbits. They would later train to become comfort animals. At 14, he rented and ultimately purchased a 22-acre Mississippi River island to serve as a summer sanctuary for these rare breed rabbits and rescues. Find yourself inspired to reflect on what would you attempt if you knew you couldn't fail, and discover what can happen when we choose to be open, look for potential and possibility, and add in patience, persistence, and a bunch of positivity. peacebunnyisland.com. All right, Caleb, give me 1 second. We're almost there. Let me.
Perfect.
I got somebody outside my door making too much noise.
Hi.
All right, sorry about that. How you doing?
Good.
This is good.
Taking a quick water break.
I'll get you out of here soon. Let's get all the way into Peacebunny Island here in this last segment.
Perfect.
All right. Let me find my space again. Or my place, I mean. Okay. Ready when you are?
Ready?
3, 2, 1. I'm my own sound guy. I never do this. It's kind of fun. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. I am with CEO of Peacebunny Inc. Caleb Smith. I'm just kind of enthralled by this story, and I was thinking at break time here about the effect that your rabbits have on people. How are bunnies different in your opinion than people in terms of connection, love, their effect on us? Caleb, welcome back.
Well, one thing that I've learned from the rabbits is sometimes bringing or being in the moment and spending time with somebody sometimes is better than talking to somebody. So like when somebody is dealing with like a tragedy or grief or loneliness, that instead of starting a conversation, just spending time with them. And there's a children's book that comes to mind where all these different animals tried to encourage this little boy after his tower fell over, but then the rabbit, he didn't say anything. He just sat down and let the boy talk about what he needed to talk about and to listen and to be, and it's engaging but letting them drive the conversation. And that's something that I've learned from the human or from the rabbits, and I think we can all learn from them.
You're talking about the book by Corey Dorfield, when that The Rabbit Listened, right? Or The Rabbit Listened.
Yes.
Corey's been on this show.
Okay. Yep. So we saw that she does rabbit stories and was part of the book launch with real rabbits during the launch of the book, which is really cool since she's a Minnesota author as well.
Yeah, she's great. Do you know her?
Yes.
Yeah, she's great. Okay, so I'm curious, what does we hug and then we play mean?
So that was one of the neighborhood rules that was created, and it was after something, after like an injury or somebody cries or something happens that, or somebody gets upset about something, the rule is that you say I'm sorry, and then because we're friends, and so you say sorry, you say I'm sorry, then I forgive you, and then we hug, and then we play. And that was just so that if something happens that we're not, it's like then it's past us. So we're not, say, playing a game of kickball, and we get angry at a rule of if he's safe or out, then we're not dwelling on that play for the rest of the day.
Mhm.
It's like we're we got we were upset in the moment, and then because it's not anything major, that we can just let it pass, and then move forward and start fresh, new again. So that was just something that the neighborhood that we all lived by.
Great rule for life and for all of us. Who was Snickers, and why was he so important to you?
So Snickers was my first pet rabbit that I ever had, and he was a Dutch rabbit. So on the podcast, he looks just like this, and he's white on the front half of his body, and then he's like a dark chocolate on the back. And I had him for about half a year before he sadly passed away. And he was that first pet rabbit I ever had. And and then after he passed away, we fostered different animals. And that Easter is when I searched online and found the 360 of them.
Mm.
And then ended up starting the bunny business from there. So Snickers really lit the spark of me owning rabbits and opened my heart into adding a furry friend into our house.
And it was also your first loss, right? First lesson,
Yes.
and I know your parents were worried about you. And I've always felt that it's so tragic that the lifespan of pets to the human, to the human lifespan is so disproportionate. But loss is inevitable in life. Why do you think this is part of the design?
So with Snickers, it was hard to move through the loss of him, but um, if I had Snickers for a longer period of time, then I wouldn't have looked online for the original Ford that started the business itself,
Mm.
and seeing that everything happens for a reason, and it might not be something that was not something you would enjoy at that moment, but sometimes in the long term you can learn from it. You learn something, or sometimes it's beneficial. And in the story, it talks about some of the things that, so like different islands that I was looking at that ended up not happening, but then because I didn't end up purchasing that island, I got one for twice as big for the same price. So like things like that.
What did you learn from the loss?
Learning that it talks about that not one thing can solve a broken heart, and that um, but things can help in that moment, and always take time to deal with grief. Not so don't put it on hold and then deal with it later. Deal with it then, when uh, and deal in your own time. Everybody has different ways of dealing with it. Mine was just to not think about rabbits, and for a long time, and not having a pet at our house. And then once I made that commitment that I wanted to try again, then that's when I was open again.
What's your vision for Peace Bunny Island for the
Well, the business will continue to expand. We've committed that we're going to take care of the rabbits their entire lives, and rabbits tend to live about 10 years. So The bunny business will continue for the next 10 years since we have baby bunnies through the strategic endangered breed program that we have. So we always will continue doing it for 10 years. My hope is to go off to college in 2 years. I'll be a junior this year, and hoping to go off to college. So finding um, somebody that could manage the business while I'm gone, or go to school locally, or figuring out the logistics at that point, but continue growing, continue doing bunnies, and make it sustainable.
How do you train the rabbits to become comfort bunnies?
So we do most of the training out on the island, and we put the rabbits in tables or on tables and in wagons, and we train them to build trust with the human guardians that are training them. And when we train them to like sit in a wagon, the benefit of an island is if they hop down, then where are they going to go? It's an island, so we don't have to chase them, which is kind of counterproductive to them learning to build trust with us. So then they can eat some vegetations, run around, be like rabbits for a while, and then we have a kissing noise, which means that we're going to feed them. So then they naturally come back to us.
What does that sound like?
Um, so it's just a kissing noise, and that's the feed noise. And
On how you kiss, the noise. But that's your signal, your call for.
yep. And then we'll put them back in the wagon, and then they after a while they build. They learn to that sitting in a wagon, that it's really safe for them, and sitting on a table, that they enjoy it, and that the humans are going to keep them safe. Rabbits um, tend to be very calming animals anyway, and then now we're just teaching them just to reinforce their habits.
I love that you have one rabbit that loves selfies, or her own selfies. That sounds like Apple needs to get a hold of you, and that sounds like a great ad campaign for Apple. The Peacebunny Island bunny that loves selfies.
The bunny that loves selfies.
I got just two quick questions, and then I'm going to let you go. You've been so great with your time with us, Caleb. Really great. First question, is there anyone that you'd like to thank?
Well, just all of the mentors, the people that have helped me along the way, things that people that invested in the younger generation, and people that are looking to people, not just myself, but all the good kids that are doing so much of it, that are making the world a little bit kinder and are making such a huge impact. Um, and then anybody that has helped me, both my mentors, both human and furry friends, that have helped me just to learn and be who I am, and and then to build up my character, and to make me be in a spot I'm in today.
How can we all live more like Caleb Smith?
I think I was finding something that you're passionate about and striving towards that. If it's not fun, then it's like, why are you doing it? And the thing that I was passionate about was rabbits and an island. And when I do speeches and stuff, I talk about how everybody has their own Peacebunny Island, and I want people to think about what their island is and then achieve that island. Now, I put a lot of work into actually getting my real island, coming with 8811, and then up purchasing at 14. So there was a 3-year difference of figuring out the logistics, and then I just remember, like, when we landed on the island, feeling this feeling of accomplishment once you're finished, and seeing that once we achieve our goals, um, that always live in the moment and always celebrate the goals, no matter how big or how small. I remember, like, with the writing process, every time that we completed something, it was a celebration of completing it. Just like every time we do like a new program, then it's like celebrating that this is the first of basically a new chapter. No pun intended with the book, but like just the to live in the moment and always have something that you can celebrate with, or something that you have. So like our family has red plates, and that's what we celebrate for the big life things. And uh, a lot of the time we go out and we get shrimp that we put on our red plates, and that's like the super big things. So that's what we did once the book was published, and I did that once I got Eagle. And then we just had these celebration meals once we complete different things that the first half of the book has been turned in, that I made it through COVID learning,
Yeah.
things like that.
I love it. I love it. Caleb Smith, you got great outlook, my friend. You're doing great things in the world. How can we help you? How can the listeners? You've got listeners from 110 different countries right now, as well as our own. How can they help you?
Well, it's supporting the journey and supporting the kids. Like you mentioned earlier, 100% of the royalties this first year go back into the business, and then sharing the word about the business and about how much of an impact these rabbits have. We don't have any marketing other than word of mouth, other than this year with the book launch. So just sharing it with people, and then always and finding your niche, and helping other people achieve their islands.
Love it. I love the question that you put out there too. What would you attempt if you knew you couldn't fail? And discover what can happen when you're open. CEO, founder of Peacebunny Islands, has been our special guest this entire hour. His name is Caleb Smith. Check him out on peacebunnyisland.com, Facebook and Instagram at Peacebunny Island. Pick up this book. It's really, really good. Caleb Smith, Peacebunny Island, The Extraordinary Journey of a Boy and His Comfort Rabbits, and how they're teaching us about hope and kindness. Caleb, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Hold on just for 1 second before you go. I've got to talk to you. I want to tell everybody out there to have a great week. Go to peacebunnyisland.com and see how you can help Caleb and this worldwide movement. It's really great. Listen more and evolve, and have a great week. Okay, Caleb, can I get you to do that? Was great. Are you happy with that? Did we get everything?
Yes.
Okay, good. Anything we missed that you wanted to say?
Um, I think we talked about most of it.
You got it? Good, good. I think that will get people intrigued for sure. They got to know you and the endeavor. I love it. Can I get you to do a radio drop promo, which is basically, hi, this is Caleb Smith, CEO, founder, or whatever you want to say, or author of Peacebunny Island. And you're listening to the Jeremiah Show. I would say something like, pick up my book on Amazon or wherever you want to direct them. Peacebunny Island, a little bit about it, and you're listening to the Jeremiah Show. And then we'll cut that and we'll drop it into a lot of future shows to the end of the year.
Okay.
It'll be with book sales, so it won't just be in this show. It'll be in future shows as well.
Perfect.
All right, so I'll count you down from 3 to 1. And then go ahead and say whatever you like. And if you want to do it a couple times, you're welcome to as well.
Perfect.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.
My name is Caleb Smith, and I'm the founder and CEO of Peacebunny Island and the author of Peacebunny Island. You can find my book anywhere where books are sold. And you were listening to the Jeremiah Show.
Perfect. Do me a favor. Do that last part.
Yep.
We're listening to the Jeremiah Show, and we'll cut over you're watching.
Yeah, the other one. Yeah.
Yeah. Just say you're listening to the Jeremiah Show, and Richard will make it sound good.
You were listening to the Jeremiah Show.
Sorry, I talked over you. Let me just count you down. 3, 2, 1.
And you were listening to the Jeremiah Show.
You're the best, my friend.
Perfect.
Have a great, say hello to your mother for me, Stephanie, and have a great evening. And I'll have this up probably to you in a day or so. And we'll
Perfect.
Your radio air date times.
That sounds good.
Keep up the great work, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a good night.